So Melissa and I are in the Blue Roo here. We're gonna go pick up her car. She's been running illegal now for a couple months. We didn't even realize it. We bought her Expedition in Maryland and brought it here. I got a plate registered here in Pennsylvania, but there's no inspection sticker. So we got it inspected today. We're gonna go pick it up. And this place we're going to, they've got some really cool old cars there for sale.
They do.
67 Chevy. This truck came out 1 year after I was born. Nice truck. '56 Ford Fairlane, 26,000. That's not bad for that car.
Right.
That's clean. Look at the interior, it's beautiful. A couple El Caminos. They got a bunch of other stuff here too that's inside, if you're into old cars. It's a really nice Impala. What year is that, Melissa? 62. With a 402. I love old cars. I do. I mean, mostly old trucks, but it's funny, as you get older, you find yourself being more interested in that type of stuff. And people that are younger than me, you know, they seem to be interested in like the 90s and the 80s, you know, OBS trucks, older body style stuff. I didn't think like a 93 Ford would really be that sought after. And they told me in there, they just sold one the other day, had the 7.3 Power Stroke in it. I think it was $27,000 for a 93 Ford pickup. It was nice, you know, but it's crazy. My Highboy, for example, new, I think that truck was $3,800. And if you have a Highboy that runs, you know, it's 10 grand. You know, if it just runs, it's $10,000 anymore. But yeah, pretty cool. All right, just got back to the house, hopped in the buggy. We're gonna head over to the neighbor's land clearing project. All right, I am moving right along on this clearing project. This spot right here, this is right where the house is going to go, and this is where we're going to burn whenever it rains. So I took down several more trees here, cut the stumps off, cut the tops off, and now I'm starting to make my big brush pile here. You can see the dust is just flying here, but I'm also going to grab that other pile that I started and just piling it all up, cleaning things up as I go, and can't wait to set this on fire. Once that happens, the rest of this job will go really quick. And I may have mentioned the stumps, it's so dry, you drop them 4 or 5 times, you get most of the dirt off. So I think we're going to be able to burn a lot of the stumps. I had figured on getting like a 30-yard dumpster or even 2 of them to get rid of stumps, but we may not have to do that, or maybe just 1, you know. But I can't wait. Light this thing up and get this job finished up and on to something else. All right, I definitely have things opened up now. I got a giant pile of brush here, trees, grapevines, and I think the day after tomorrow, they're calling for 90% chance of rain, which would be fantastic. Because once we get some rain and I can start burning, it'll speed things up considerably, because right now, I kind of have to handle things twice. If we get that fire going, once it starts burning down a little bit, I can start throwing stumps on there, which they should burn up pretty good. As dry as it is, all you do is kind of pick them up, drop them a few times, and you knock most of the dirt off. So we get this going, burn some stumps as we go, and you know, I got to go back another 50, 75 feet. Need to go that way just a little bit. And then the trees for the driveway. So there's probably 20 more big trees, maybe 25. And once the fire's going, knock it over, cut the top off, cut it off the stump, put the firewood pole out of the way, and burn. But I need a fire. I need a rain. I'm pretty much at a standstill until that happens. All right, I just got back over to the house. I've got the trailer on. I need to go pick up Levi's mule for him. Kawasaki mule, not the animal. It's at a dealer. They had a recall on it. I don't think it was a real big deal. Well, I guess there are a few. I don't know how many that caught fire. So there was a fix for it. It took a while for that. So he got an appointment. I ran it up there this morning, and they called and said it's done. So we'll go pick that up, and then we'll come back here, see what else we get into. But by the way, I just checked the weather again. Day after tomorrow, 90% chance of rain. So probably tomorrow, I'm going to go out to my clearing job, get a bunch of stuff down in that fire pit, in that big pit that I have dug. And the following day, if it does rain, we'll light both that one up and over at the neighbors, and we'll have a big burn day. I'll tell you what, the mule, it's a nice machine. You know, we have a Can-Am. It's real fancy, the limited, but just driving Levi's mule around the parking lot, it doesn't lunge like when you touch the accelerator like the Can-Am. I'm used to it. It just feels that the powertrain is a little smoother on the Kawasaki than the Can-Am. I like the Can-Am, don't get me wrong, but it's pretty nice. It is. And they got all different kind of models here. Some of those ones that are, man, they're legit, you know, but there's no room to really put anything on them. They're just for guys that just want to ride. You know what I mean? Trail riding, extreme conditions. That's not really my thing. I want something like both work and play. And the Can-Am that we have, you know, it's got power windows, air conditioning. it's pretty nice to just take a cruise on. You're not climbing cliffs with it or taking it to hell's revenge in Moab, but it works good for what we want. All right, I just dropped off Levi's mule, headed up to the house. All right, back at the house here, I'm going to head down to the wood yard, do a little something down there. All right, I just took a little time there, went through the log pile. I'm pulling out some cherry. Now this stuff is pretty squirrely, but there's nothing real big, so I should be able to run any of this through the processor. But it's amazing, like, that doesn't look like much right there, you know? Some ratty logs. That was the same thing that I ran through the other day and end up with this beautiful stuff right here. The reason I'm separating out the cherry is these logs have been around for a while, and if I run them through the processor and the tumbler, we'll be able to sell this later this fall, early winter, no problem at all. I checked several pieces. The highest moisture content I could find was around 21.5%. So you give that another month or two, no problem at all. That's what's nice about like cherry and maple. You know, I prefer red oak, but it's a good 1.5 years if it's split small. And this stuff here, it just dries so much faster. All right, next up, I'm gonna start a fire. And then I need to actually run out, pick up a prescription for the Hunt Man. And by the time I return, this will be ready to cook on. Oh yeah. All oak on the bottom, little maple on top. All right, so this morning we are in pressure washer mode. Actually, Levi is. He just cleaned off all the concrete, all the outdoor furniture here. He's going to move everything under the patio. But we have a cistern tank for this building, and it holds 4,000 gallons of water. And we have water coming today. I don't ever want it to run out because I would have to prime the pump. I have a jet pump inside the building. So what we do, whenever we're getting close that we're going to order a load of water, we make sure we like wash everything, use up as much water as we can before the big truck comes, because he hauls like, I think 6,000 gallons, and it doesn't cost anymore. So in other words, if I get 3,000 or 3,500 or 2,000 gallons or 4,000, it's the same price. So today is wash day before the water gets here. How about that? It's actually trying to rain a little bit. We haven't had any rain to amount to anything for over a month. I haven't cut the grass in a month. Just a few small showers in the area, but I think tomorrow we're going to get some rain. And that's a good thing. We need it. But look at that. Beautiful, beautiful cherry right there. That's some really nice stuff. And you know, the logs weren't really very nice logs. But between the processor and the tumbler, it gets you that. I think this fall is going to be a big flop as far as fall colors. It's been so dry. The leaves are starting to turn a little bit right now, which is too early. I think they're kind of distressed. I mean, it'll still be pretty, but I don't think it's going to be a great year for fall colors. Not at all. Alright, so this is all the cherry that I pulled out last night. There was a little pile in here, but I came down here on and off throughout the day. I had some other stuff to do. I probably got about 3.5 hours, maybe 4 hours wrapped up into this right here. The logs weren't real big, so it takes a little bit more time. Well, you know, you don't get as much out of it, but that's a really nice pile of cherry right there. I don't know what's there. 4 cords, 5 cords, I'm guessing. I don't even know. But it's really nice stuff. Now, I want to talk about something. If you're in the market for an Easton-made Evo firewood processor, or really any processor for that matter, you got to get one of these. You just have to. Either that or the disc screener or something. Some of you, it may not matter, but it does to me. This stuff is so nice and clean. You know, let me show you something. This is the wood that we got right here. And this is all the trash that would have been in that pile if we didn't have the tumbler. I've been getting so much faster with this processor than when I first got it. I mean, it doesn't take long at all to get onto the controls. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about all the other little things that go with it, like prepping all the logs for the log deck. You know, it'll take, they say, a 20-foot log. Well, I have learned it will take a 25 or 26-foot log if it has a bigger, you know, a decent sized butt end on it, and you load that on this side, and you can put much longer logs on it. Before, when I was cutting logs down, I was measuring them like at 20 feet, cutting it so everything would come out right. Now, wherever there's a crook or something, I just whack it off. I may have one that's, you know, 14 feet, one that's 13 feet. It doesn't matter. And I still get the proper length. Everything works out, because when I get to the end, I'll just cut a little cookie off, pull it out, throw it to the side, and it's just way faster. So the time is all in getting the logs onto the deck. You know what I mean? And picking the right logs for what you're doing. Like right now, I'm running all cherry, but I'm getting better at that. You learn more as you go, and just the whole system is getting so much easier. I didn't realize how crooked of a log that you can run through this, especially the smaller diameter stuff. Now, if you get into something 18, 20 inches that's crooked, it may give you fits, because you know, it's coming up and it's hitting the log clamp, and it's just the whole thing. But smaller stuff, anything like from 12 inches down, it'll just run it through it, no problem. The other thing that I learned, the 16-way wedge does everything that I need. From the big stuff, 20-inch stuff, down to 6-inch stuff. As long as you position the wedge correctly, that's the only wedge that will probably ever be in this machine. So I learned that. I did not need to get the other wedges. Does everything that I need. All right, it is first thing in the morning, and we are finally supposed to get some rain today. It's going to start in about an hour, and I got a bunch of things to do before that happens. All right, I am ready for rain. I was gonna light this up, but I just checked the radar. There's gonna be a little bit come here in the next 15 minutes and then more later on. Plus it's gonna get windy, so I'm not gonna get too carried away. I'll wait till things get wet. I'll light this up. I put some small brush on the bottom, bunch of that dead stuff that's been down for a couple years on top of that. This will get cooking, and then we'll start putting some stumps in there, burn up some stumps, and just kind of keep feeding it. But it should work out pretty good. I just need it to get wet around here. And I mentioned earlier about the leaves. They're turning already. They're just shriveling up. Yeah, I think the fall colors are going to be a flop. I do. But you have it. But anyway, I think that's about it for today's video. I appreciate y'all being here, and I will catch you on the next one.